Good evening, everyone out there. Can you hear me in Zoom? That's good? Good. Can you hear me in here? That's more of a challenge sometimes. Yeah, I'll try to speak up. No, I'm not Henry Shukman. Were I, you would hear me very well. Henry couldn't make it tonight, so I was asked to substitute, if that's possible. We'll hopefully see Henry soon, maybe even in person. I sure look forward to that. So I have a koan I'm going to use for the talk tonight. It's kind of familiar and kind of a fantastic koan. The Gateless Gate is the collection, Mumonkan, and it's chapter 7, case 7, Joshu's Wash Your Bowls. So I'll get to that in a sec, but I just want to thank everybody again for coming. I thought it was going to rain tonight, but we got lucky on that account. And just thanks to Peg for coming in and holding the ground for us like this. Thanks to the staff and the residents for maintaining this place and welcoming everyone and making this so hospitable. It's just amazing support. So not just for me, but for all of us. So thank you. Thank you, everyone. So to the koan, Joshu's Wash Your Bowls. I'll read the case. A monk asked Joshu in all earnestness, I have just entered this monastery. I beg you, master, please give me instruction. Joshu asked, have you eaten your rice gruel yet? The monk answered, yes, I have. Joshu said, then wash your bowls. The monk attained some realization. A monk in all earnestness. This phrase is used a number of times in the koans. And Joshu shows up more than any other master in the koans. So we have a very familiar opening here, a monk and Joshu, and a monk is earnest. That part gets a little overlooked, I think, so I'm going to dwell on that for just a second, this earnestness. I remember the first time I did this koan 20 years ago with Ruben Habito. I was all ready to present the koan. The most of the presentation is pretty much, at least the interpretation is pretty much spelled out in the Teisho that Yamato Koan writes after each of these in this version of the Gateless Gate. So it's not a big leap to get to kind of the metaphorical point of the koan. But this earnestness is something Ruben wanted me to stop and look at for a second. So I'd like to do that again. The question he asked me is, after this experience that you've had, how are you more earnest, or how are you living earnestly? How has this changed you? And I said something, something like, well, I'm not clinging to my stubborn opinions as much, or I'm not calculating about money and time so much, He said, good. So whenever that comes up, there it is again. Just keep wiping that clean. So just want to encourage us to be earnest in our practice and in our lives, most importantly. So this earnest monk asking Joshu, okay, got to talk about Joshu for a minute. Again, the most frequently encountered master, perhaps the most beloved master. Certainly, I think Master Dogen, who is kind of the the figurehead of Sanbo Zen, regarded Dogen. I mean, Dogen regarded Joshu most highly. Joshu lived 120 years if you calculate the way the Chinese do that to your birth date is year one. I think that's right. He lived from 787 CE to 897, 120, 119. We'll call it 120. He entered the monastery at a very young age, adolescence or maybe even earlier, and practiced for decades and decades, had many, many opening experiences, some particularly powerful ones. And he studied for a large part of his time with Master Nansen. You may remember the famous koan about Nansen kills the cat. And then later Joshu walks in and says, and puts his sandals on his head and walks out. And Nansen says, had you been there, I could have spared the cat. Another famous koan. But anyway, I studied with Nansen for all these years. And when Nansen died, he stayed there at that monastery for 4 more years and a sort of a traditional period of grieving for his master. And then he set off at age 40 on a pilgrimage to encounter other teachers and test out his clarity with them. And this pilgrimage went on for 40 years. So he's 80 years old, and he finally settles down in this rundown little temple. It still exists. It's kind of nice and built up now, I think. But so he taught there for 40 years. He was 80 when he started, and he taught for 40 more years. So when we encounter him here, maybe he's 80, maybe he's 120, maybe he's 100, somewhere in there. But another word about him, his teaching has been called lips and mouth Zen. He was very soft-spoken, and everything he said, everything he did, apparently was extremely ordinary, simple, basic, nothing fancy. Other masters, might hit you, might, tweak your nose to make you wake up. Not Joshu, just simple words. And they say that when he spoke, that reddish sparks formed in his mouth. And some people say you can still see those sparks at the temple sometimes. So Joshu, great teacher, is here in this koan. Master, please give me instructions. Joshu asks, have you eaten your rice gruel yet, your rice porridge? Monk answers, yes, I have. Joshu says, then wash your bowls. Not like that. And the monk attains some realization. All right, so traditionally, I think there are a couple of angles on this koan. And the first, again, is in the Teisho, so I didn't come up with this. The classic kind of angle on this is that this is a metaphorical question. Have you eaten your rice gruel? Is a way of saying, have you experienced enlightenment? Have you had a taste of awakening? And so in that context, the monk's answer, yes, I have, means yes, I've had a glimpse, or I've had an experience. And so Joshu's response, then wash your bowls, is taken to mean forget about it. Wipe it away. Let it go. We could stop right there. That'd be a really great teaching, Yamada Koan says, he has known some number of Zen masters who nauseate him, who just they're obnoxious in their celebration of their enlightenment or their kind of demonstration of their clarity, and boisterous laughter as if they're free of all concerns, and using esoteric language all the time, and just basically showing off. Not the way. The true master, the true Zen teacher, really maybe more like Joshu, humble, simple. You wouldn't know them from another person, except that they're particularly honest, perhaps, and straightforward and trustworthy. But you don't have to be a Zen master for those qualities. So just ordinary folks, ordinary Zen. I think there's a book called that. Everyday Zen, yeah. So that's one classic angle, and then the other I'll get to in a moment. But there's this newer angle. I don't know how new. Maybe it's decades old now, but you see this a lot, and that is that the instruction, wash your bowl, after the question, "Have you eaten your rice gruel?" Yes. That instruction means just do the next thing. If it's time to wash the bowl, it's time to wash the bowl. If the bowl's dirty, you wash it. If it's time to drive to work, you drive to work. And that's good teaching, you know. It sounds a little bit like a life coach or an industrial consultant psychologist, you know, in a corporation. There was this guy a while back named Stephen Covey. I don't know if you've ever heard of him, industrial type coach. And I remember this one rather often used diagram. He had a grid with 4 sections in it. One axis is not important, important. And the other axis is not urgent, urgent. And he said, we spend way too much time over here in important and urgent, you know, because we haven't spent enough time in important, not urgent. So we haven't washed our bowl yet. Wash it. Now you have to, because company's coming, you know. But over here, hey, it's Tuesday, or it's Thursday, and company not coming until Saturday. Let me wash it up, you know. So, you know, practical, good way to structure your life. Don't look at your mail twice. Deal with it the first time. That kind of stuff. And so I've run across discussions on this Teisho that emphasize that, or maybe a slightly more generous, wider lens on that would be take each task as it is and do it mindfully. And, you know, we can hear the words of Thich Nhat Hanh and peace is every step. Why do we wash dishes? To get them clean. No, we wash dishes to wash dishes, just to wash dishes. If you've ever taken or administered the Wechsler Adult Intelligence Scale, which is an IQ test, there's a subtest called information. And the first question is, why do we wash clothes? And you can get a 0 response, or you can get a 1 response, or a 2, you know, if you're super bright. And the 0 response is something like, it's Tuesday and Mama taught me to do that, you know. Or a 1 response is, so they'll look nice, you know. But a 2 response is to get them clean. But nowhere in there is it said just to wash them. So I think Thich Nhat Hanh gets 3 points for that one. So that angle, you know, is there, but okay, just to kind of get that one out of the way so we can come to the more essential angle, the third or traditionally second way of looking at this koan, and that is from the standpoint of, you know, what we're here about, you know, this essential project of Zen, you know, this basic movement toward awakening, clarifying, In seeing, here we go, that emptiness is form, form is emptiness. Zen came to China in about the year 0, and about the time, not too long before Joshu was born, in fact. I think I got that wrong. It had been around about 900 years when Joshu was born, yeah, 800. Anyway, it came into a ripe country to receive it. You know, Taoism was already there. You know, this emphasis on the natural, you know, nature, and this emphasis on emptiness, or this essential kind of void. So there was this rich kind of ground for Zen to develop, for Buddhism to come, and for Zen to develop from there. So emptiness and form. When Joshu asks, "Have you eaten your rice gruel?" You could think of that as form. Rice gruel. The monk says, "Yes, I've eaten it." Wash your bowl, empty. Maybe that's how that should be looked at. I would say this, a bowl, if you want to see emptiness, here's emptiness, right here. Here it is. There it is. There it is. Yourself is empty, and that means not separate. Emptiness and form. Yamada Ryon Roshi keeps coming up with new words for emptiness because they get kind of stale. One of his more recent ones is goneness, which kind of implies emptiness and also has oneness in the utterance. So kindly for us English folks has come up with the word goneness, English-speaking folks. We are emptiness, and emptiness is us. It's our form. And however you can get to that is good. And this koan is one way to help get there. I think I'll read the verse. The verse goes like this: "Just because it is so clear, it takes us longer to realize it. If you quickly acknowledge that the candlelight is fire, you will find that the rice has long been cooked." Yeah, you can look at this as the candlelight is washing the bowl. That's this action, this functioning, this form. Fire is the essence. That's the essential. That's the emptiness. That's the that's the true self. If you want to make a label for this no self. And so we should be eating and cooking that rice and eating it up and washing it up together. Mumonkan also has a commentary after the case. Joshu, opening his mouth, showed his gallbladder and revealed his heart and liver. If the monk, hearing it, did not really grasp the fact, he would mistake a bell for a pot. If the monk thought that he was getting an industrial psychology lesson, he would mistake the onion in the kitchen for the bell. But if the monk just got that we're talking here about enlightenment and forgetting it, that would be mistaking the jar for a bell. The onion's not going to make the kind of sound Peg just made with the bell, and neither is the pot on the stove in there. It's not going to happen. The monk has to get this third angle, that this wiping away, this emptying, it's not an instruction, it's the fact. Joshu's every word in most koans can be broken down into just sounds, and each sound, each syllable, each word, and each sentence are complete teachings in the sense that they reveal. They don't explicate, they demonstrate, or they actually actualize the truth. So what? Emptiness form, so what? Who cares? Yeah. I'll tell you why it's a big deal. It's a big deal because it's liberating. That's why. It's not not liberating. It's liberation. Just take a walk outside. Tell me one thing that you encounter in that walk that is not Buddha. Even your delusions, as long as you don't use that as a cop-out. Maybe even a cop-out. Yeah, but even your delusions are Buddha, when seen through this lens of emptiness. So yeah, if you have a delusion, just clean that one out too, and recognize that again and again, the bowl, whether it's dirty or empty or clean or full, that's it. There's your essential nature right there. And I drink it. So if I were Henry now, I would go, fantastic. Anything else in here I've missed? Maybe if I turn my head. Yeah, I was going to say, Joshu, maybe he's given us coaching. Maybe he's explicating, the metaphor. Or maybe he's really revealing the fact. All of those, though, are revelations of the fact, especially if they come from someone like Joshu. Yeah. Wanted to say that this has been coming up a little bit lately in our daily meetings with the residents and the staff, and in the readings we're doing. Somewhere I've run across this anyway, and that is washing the bowl in this moment is like falling in love. This is the invitation to just fall in love with sitting, washing our bowls, sweeping the grounds, planting. We're here to fall in love with every moment. And Joshu's really given us a wonderful angle on that. Valerie often says, you're immersed in it. You cannot fall out of it. So why not fall into it? What's stopping us? And this gentleness of Joshu's can almost be overlooked. So don't let that happen. if you need me to, I'll come tweak your nose, okay? There was the koan that Valerie gave talk on there a little while back. It's 53 of the Hekigan Blue Cliff record, and it's Hyakujo's Wild Duck. And the ducks are flying off, and the monk is asked, where do they go? And the monk says, they flew away. And Hyakujo goes, and the monk goes, ow, and wakes up. So go ahead and tweak your nose, you know? Yeah, thanks, Doc. No twerking, though. Maybe even twerking would wake us up, but yeah, the tweak of the nose can reveal what we seek. The tweak reveals what we seek. Yeah, but so did Joshu's gentle, sparkly words. And so let's cook the rice. Let's eat it. Let's wash the bowls. And how cool we get to do that together. Thanks for your practice. Thanks for coming tonight.